the Anywhere and Beyond Boston podcast.
Good morning. We are happy to welcome you to our podcast here at Caldwell Banker in Andover Center. So we were asking some of the people who follow us on social media what they want to know from experienced agents in the Andover area. We go all over Massachusetts, but we're here in Andover today. So I have two experienced agents right here, and I'm going to be asking them all of your questions. So a lot of people ask me, I was at the dentist yesterday, and they were asking me, they were like, be honest. Is it a bad time to buy in Massachusetts? And I gave her my answer, but I'd love to hear yours first.
So I would say there's no bad time for buying a home.
Good, so that's what
And
I said.
actually, yeah, and I've had so many people regret they didn't act sooner than later, because those people who bought in 2020, and I remember a lot of buyers were laughing at those. Oh, that dude bought the house $50K over. And they overpaid. I'd rather wait until the prices go down. And here's what we have. Like, people are paying higher rates, higher prices. And that dude that bought in 2020 actually got a lot of equity in their homes. So waiting always is not a good idea. And the reason why is also because we have the appreciations that's taking place, right? Every year, the appreciation is about 4 to 5%. So your home gains equity just the market, appreciates. And then you also continue adding to your pocket towards your principal. You're kind of paying it back, right? Instead of paying somebody else's mortgage. And think of that. You should buy when you most need it, right? Like, my motivation was we outgrew our space. And we couldn't feed our kids in a small room. So we had to buy. We had to buy a bigger home. We had to upgrade. So there was a good timing, good motivation there, and we got what we wanted. And think about the rates. People are saying the rates are high. We don't want to buy now. Wait until the rates go down. Imagine the rates go down by 1%. It will bring 5 more million qualified buyers into the market right away. So you face more competition right away, immediately. Do you want to compete with those buyers? So you're probably going to get, higher price to pay, right? So don't wait. If you buy now and then the rates go up, you will be happy because you locked in a great rate. If the rates will go down, you can refinance later, and you already have an asset. You don't have to compete with anyone if you refinance, right?
Right.
So don't wait. If you are determined to buy a house, act on it.
Elena?
Excellent points that Christina touched. I can only add one thing. Real estate is called real for a reason. It's a real investment. It's the best investment in your life. It can go a little up, it can go a little down. In Andover, mostly we have appreciation of our real estate. And the good point is right now we're looking into going the mortgage rate going down. Probably. We've been hearing about it. So we don't expect it going up. But nobody has this crystal ball, as we're saying. I would say if you need to buy, you buy. If you need to sell, you sell. I recently sent a card that says, the best time to buy, the best time to sell is when you're ready to do that. Everybody's life is different. So go for it. Go for buying a house. You can always go a little lower, and then that is a great point. You can sell and buy a higher property, bigger property. But you would be great to start with a starting property. In Andover is a great, great area for buying a house. And great area for resale. Then go for it. I would say don't be scared of people saying you can always enter the market and look what is on the market right now. Try to put your offer. The best thing is to have a professional helping you to do that. It's a confusing market for the buyers. So we welcome you to call the professionals, and we're ready to help you.
Yeah. Also, it's like, from a less logistic standpoint too, it's like, why are you putting your life on hold? Like, go live your life. If you're not financially able, yeah, give it a minute. But like, why not take the next step in your life? It's something that people wait their whole lives to do, which is buy a home. And if you're finally at the point where you're financially able and you want to, it's like, why put your life on hold? Like, what are you doing otherwise? You're just living a version of your life that you don't want to be in anymore, and life is short. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
We bought a house with my husband when it was 7.5%. At that point, the rate was flowing down, but very slowly from the teens. It's hard to imagine right now, but people were paying that 10, 12, 13, and we got at 7.5, and everybody excited that the rate is not that high. All this our time of ownership, the rate was going down and down and down and down till like 2 years from now when the rate really went up. Yes, but people during this time, like 20 years maybe, people who were able to take an equity, refinance. So again, don't wait.
Reinvest,
right? Take the money and renovate your home. Doing a lot of things. Putting your kids in real estate is a great investment. Go for it.
And I tell people this a lot and they're shocked, so that's why I'm going to repeat it here. People don't realize the interest rate was 17% in the 70s. Like, historically, the interest rates are low in perspective with previous years. So that's what I say as well. Like, I feel like we get it's like this scarcity mindset, like this fear mindset, and it scares people into not doing anything.
I would say there are still some areas maybe further away from the town, from Boston, where you could still get the property, if it's small, starter home under 500K. I suggest that you probably would need to be prepared to do the work. And a lot of times it would be massive work. Sometimes if it's I'm asking all the buyers not to be afraid of some cosmetic work, because changing the carpets, replacing the wallpaper, repainting the walls are easy to do. If you like the location, if it clicks and you enjoy the layout, the cosmetic stuff is easy to fix. And actually, that's the way to create the equity and create the value. So even though 500K seems not super realistic, closer to Boston, I think those who are looking, they find, right? So encourage you to jump in and start your search now.
It might happen. It may happen. You can find a property that needs major work, maybe even take down the structure, but the land is also very expensive and very valuable. You can always do something over, or sometimes sometimes that amount is just start to get in. So I want to go to classics of real estate. You buy the least expensive home in the best location possible, and you will be golden.
It's a good ask. And she called me and she goes, "Yeah, can you come over? I want to sell. I'm done. I'm going to California." Because it was such like a rainy, gloomy day. I think it was probably in early March. But it's like that's kind of the kind of things that I'm hearing. But I'm interested if you've heard anything like that too.
I think there was a huge outflow when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people were trapped in the houses, it was difficult to really be squeezed into four walls. So to say, concrete jungle, and people were willing to have a breath of fresh air. And that's where actually my New Hampshire license got very handy. But a lot of people were moving because now they were allowed to work from home, and they were good, to have a nice backyard, maybe having a pool. And that was very appealing to go to suburbs or even southern New Hampshire, where still, if you need it, you can commute, even though it's, kind of far. But a lot of people were reconsidering because they don't have to commute anymore, or they don't only have to commute once a week or two times a week. So it was a good compromise. Therefore, there was a huge amount of people moving out from Boston for those reasons. And I think that actually made the southern New Hampshire very expensive, very desirable as well. And that's what I've noticed and has been happening. I'm seeing it actually not as extensive right now, because now as traffic's back, I feel people reconsider again that they probably bought too far from jobs, and obviously spending hours and hours in the car driving back and forth is not very appealing. And that might be a reason why people are now selling again.
There's also more inventory out closer to Western Massachusetts, I will say. Like, I have a buyer who we're looking out in like the Leominster, Lunenburg, Fitchburg area. And even if you just look on the map, like what's available for lower prices, it's a complete shift from this area versus, it's almost like there's an invisible line going down, right when you get to like Lowell, it goes straight down, and there's just so much more inventory out there. But Yelena, what do you think?
Well, I agree with everything that was said here. Only thing I can add, right? So we had those waves of when suburbs were really popular before COVID, and people wanted to go to suburbs. Then, way before COVID, then people, when their family situation changes and people have their kids out of schools, out of public schools, they empty nesters want to go to town, to the city, I would say, to Boston.
I've heard that.
And yes, and they want to have city life, free from growing children. And that's, I think, what really made the properties in Boston, in the city, more expensive, because there was a kind of migration from suburbs. When COVID happened, it was totally opposite. People wanted to go away from a city where there is less contacts with people, potential getting sick.
Elevators, in the same bus,
no buses,
less
public transportation.
Yes, less populated areas. So with that said, of course, yes, people wanted to buy where there is land, where there is more space for extra office room, or people were adding on to their homes to expand more because their kids were there, their even college kids were there. You would say, like, cars were not on the street. We had 5-6 cars parked in each house, because if there are teenagers there or students are there, so they would be also. So the suburbs became again very popular, including Cape Cod. Cape Cod bloomed on that. So their prices, I think now we can see maybe different in where people go from Boston. They go everywhere. They go with the jobs. They go where they can afford the home. They go different states sometimes.
I know.
So that is also the case, because Boston is. There were statistics a couple of years ago that Boston is one of the most expensive cities in the U.S. From Hawaii and California, and I don't want to lie down about the statistics. Maybe they were changed, but it's definitely one of the most expensive places to live
in COVID, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting you mentioned Tufts. My husband worked in Tufts for years.
Really?
Yes, as a physician. So sometimes you cannot work remote.
Yeah.
And so far, the physicians and the first responders, they have to work face to face with the situation. So these people still commute, and there's a lot of them: nurses, doctors, firemen. So yes, we do have this more people now working at homes, definitely.
Yes,
because it's kind of we inherited that from COVID.
But not everybody can, right?
Not everybody can, absolutely, yes. But the real estate also changed with that, because now homes that have extra office or have office space is having some value added to that.
Oh, yeah, sure. Something else that the dentist also asked me was, they were like, "What do you think? Is the market going to crash? Like, or is it going downhill?"
Your dentist is a superstar of our podcast today.
I know.
I like that, because when you ask people public what they feel, they ask us as an expert.
I'm getting real feedback out here in real life, so it's great. And so I've been licensed since 2023, so I haven't had the luxury of going through the ebbs and flows of different market changes. But I was just curious if you have an opinion on the way that things are headed.
Oh, is the market going to crash? I don't believe in that, honestly. But don't kill the messenger. I'm not an economist, actually. By education, I am, but now I'm not, and I only know about real estate. And I know that it will not happen. I don't think it will happen overnight, if it will happen. But I don't see any indications. We still have a very, very busy market right now, selling and buying people. People have jobs. That's also important for buying. So, and stock market is very volatile, which is actually good for making money. So I don't think so. My opinion is not. I believe it's not.
I feel like it's like, okay, well, what if it does? We're going to have to roll with that too and figure that out too.
Yeah, we are known for our resilience.
Yeah.
So and I haven't been through crash. You
Okay.
know, I
When were you licensed?
I was licensed in
I have
2014.
I have been here.
When were you licensed?
1993.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yes, there were times there was the market prices. If we're talking about the price of homes, I listed a place in 2006. It was a home, and next door home also was put on the market, and we were chasing each other in reducing prices because at the time I thought I priced the home right, but the prices around us were going down very fast. It felt like a crash, you know, and then we had down prices for a long time. And it depends on the town. Andover did not suffer that much, but towns around did. So yes, there was tough times, but the prices went up after year
After some
2011.
time, so
Yes.
cycles. So my vision of this
That
is
was time for buy maybe for somebody.
yeah. So what I was learning and hearing from the lenders, one of the reasons why that crash took place was that a lot of people were the lenders were giving the loans, you know, left and right.
Anyone could get one.
Oh,
Almost anyone could get it.
no down payment.
No down payment,
Yes.
no verifications like we are going through right now. So now the lenders have learned a lesson. So we have, you know, like in order to get pre-approved, you have to provide a bunch of information, especially if self-employed. You're not, you know, really favorable for the lenders. So you do have, they screen you a lot. So they want to make sure you're solid, you'll have the job, and they're not just giving you money with no reason, right? So that's one thing that may keep us safe in terms of like not having the crash, like not having so many foreclosures and stuff, because they screening you much better now. The other thing is that a lot has to have and to do with inventory, right? So we know exactly that the inventory is like very limited right now. And in order for crash to happen, there has to be more supply than more buyers in the market to have like homes sitting or, you know, reducing the prices. Now we see a lack of inventory. A lot of buyers, the applications for lenders, they keep increasing. Loan applications increasing. The amount of homes is not increasing as rapidly as the amount of applications and new buyers entering the market. So we still have that lack of inventory. Like in some towns, if you notice this, the index that shows like how much time you need, it's called the month supply of inventory, right? Some towns have it under one, meaning that they need like half a month to sell out all the inventory in one town, which is absolutely incredible and shows that it's still a seller's market. So the demand will continue. It might be seasonal from time to time, right? But it actually, there's no evidence that there will be enough new constructions built, or there's not enough land, you know. And so that's the key factors that I think that will not get us to crash the one that we experienced in 2007, 2008. So hopefully this is a good indicator that just, you know, get and enter the market.
Christina mentioned very good that there were times that loans were given with no verification with no down payment. And these people actually suffered the most when the market went down. With this saying, I must stress that it's important to put a good down payment when you buy. First of all, your loan will be less. Maybe you buy less of the expensive property, but better down payment. So you'll be protected. So your equity will be bigger in the home. So when you have this cushion of the equity and the prices go down, when you want to sell for some reason, you lost your job or something, you have that cushion when your price doesn't go under, like going underwater. So you sell for less than you bought it. That's when you suffer. But if you have the down payment, so talk to lender before you buy. And the best decision is to buy with a good down payment.
Yeah. So actually, the last question I had on my list was, do you really need to put 20% down in Massachusetts?
You don't need to, but it benefits you because you don't have private mortgage insurance, which is extra $100 in your payment. And the second, you have more equity, as I just mentioned, and that's the key. Because when you're buying a property, you think, oh, did you own the home? Yes, I own the home. No, you don't own the home. The bank owns your home, and you pay mortgage. But when the closer you are to getting equity, yours, the more you paid off the principal, the more closer you are to really own your home. So you don't have to, because there are programs. You have to talk to financial specialists. There are programs with 5, 10%, even less than 5%. But again, you need to know what are you stepping in, what are you going to have. Sometimes you can buy a home with a 5%, 10% down, but a lot of times. But then you can refinance that and just stepping into the sale, into the ownership with a lower down payment. If you cannot put 20% down, that's a good decision for some time. So when you save some money, then go to this, get rid of PMI, and claim your equity.
Yeah. So at some point, even if you purchase the home with 3.5% down, and you put more principal, or at some point the market appreciated and your property worth more now, you can refinance and get rid of private mortgage insurance, so you can get that 20% ratio into your home. And another maybe good point, if people are really worried about the market crash, I think the best, one of the solutions might be buying a multifamily, where you would be owning one unit and renting the other one. We know that the sales market usually goes up and down at some point, but the rental, like if you look at the rental graph, rental is usually increasing steadily over years. It's always increased. Because if people foreclose, they need the housing to live in. If people come for education, they need the housing. So they always need to rent. So the rents typically goes up and up and up. And if you buy a multifamily, for example, as your starter home, and you live in one unit and rent the other one or the other two, then you're protected with this increase in rental. So you always will have support paying your mortgage. And maybe then when you're ready to upgrade to single family, we can keep the 2-family or 3-family in your portfolio and, be wealthy.
Very good point. 2-family is great.
Okay.
Pays your mortgage.
Yes.
And you can keep it for as long as you alive. You can rent it out later, or your kids can go with it.
Yeah. No,
it's a multiple opportunities with the multifamily or 2-family. Yes.
Yeah, so maybe next time we'll talk about too what it's like having a multifamily and managing.
It's a topic by itself.
Yeah, it could be a whole episode. Yes. Well, thank you. It was very nice to meet everyone for our first podcast together, and we look forward to talking to you again.